Yo, what up guys, Travic here, and today I want to talk about the Titan character that I've been playing the last couple of days. This Titan has probably been the craziest, funnest build that I have played for early access. Everybody told me Titan was bad, don't play Titan, and I was like, nah bro, I'm gonna give it a shot. So my thought process when I was playing crossbows was crossbows had huge AoE. What can Titan do? Titan has just absolutely, like I said, blown me away. Even watching the gameplay now from the footage I recorded, it is smooth, it is crisp, the character moves very well, the explosions are beautiful, it hits the whole screen no problem, and it does pretty much everything I want a character to do in early access. It looks good, it can boss good, it can clear map bosses like that, no problem at all, and it handles all of the content with a breeze. Now, it doesn't need things like Temporalis. It needs two very key parts to make it work, and I'll show you those key parts. And it doesn't even need to abuse Herald of Ice to make it absolutely bonkers. It just needs to have Frostwalls, trample toe boots, and use that interaction to clear pretty much a lot of the content. On top of that too, as you've seen, the Titan has this absolutely massive AoE, and it makes things like breach really simple. You're able to clear much more of the breach without too much problems, you know, and especially if you eventually get Temporalis, your movement speed becomes absolutely out of this world. If you don't have Temporalis, you can use shield charge to shield charge all around the map, and the Titan does everything that you want it to do. It can even boss extremely well. I've taken this thing in the simulacrums, all of the bosses, I've cleared all of the content without problems, and I'm going to jump around a little bit in this video to give you guys a little bit more of a showcase to what it can do. Now, like I had mentioned, breaches were super simple, and coming over here to this little clip that I put together, my Titan was level 80 at the time that I recorded this. And, you know, I put all the gear on it, I set up the passive tree, no problem. I wasn't even like fully set up to do content, and I was like, let's see what happens if we do a Xesh 4. I was super confident going through the campaign that this Titan was completely and utterly busted. And when I went to do the Xesh 4 and just see what happened, I set up a couple of ice walls, Xesh showed up, and then he met God. So, I mean, just to go back, Xesh is alive here, and then Xesh is dead, and then Xesh is alive, and Xesh is dead. And if I'm pausing it, I might be able to get the one frame. No, I can't get the one frame, but within one frame, Xesh dies. And it's just the outright craziest thing. Now, I do the same thing again, and my friends start kind of like egging me on to try Arbiter, and we try Arbiter, we kill Arbiter, and you know, we're level 83, and we kill Arbiter with 0% or like 1% health, and then we add another person, then we add another person, then we add another person, and then my friends are like, hey man, like, what if we took a full party into here and we tried out Arbiter? And I was like, dude, let's do it. And I tell everybody, I'm like, hey guys, like, hang back, you know, this might go bad. This is multiple persons, you know, things are a little awkward. And we go to try Arbiter. Now, Arbiter was a little bit awkward to one shot. You know, you can't really set up ice walls, all these dead bodies all around. They're making it a little bit difficult. But as soon as Arbiter spawns, and as soon as he's ready to go, you know, the first hit's 41 million, the second hit 95 million, the third hit 175. And I realized doing this back then at level 83, missing that little bit of damage, panicking when the event started, not really doing 5-man carries on a Titan, you know, you get a little worried, a little nervous, you don't know what's really going on. And then as soon as Arbiter's available to be hit again, he just meets God. You know, he just comes alive and then he's dead. He comes alive and then he's dead. And then it just works out great. Even things like simulacrums become this like crazy easy thing. You see both the bosses spawn here on wave 14, and then as soon as we get near both the bosses die. It's just been a character that has been ridiculously fun to play and very enjoyable. And even like wave 15 of doing a tier 4 simulacrum is just a matter of abusing ice walls and the Titan's massive AoE. And inside of simulacrums, Herald of Ice doesn't even work, so you can't even get those extra explosions, and you're totally relying on the Titan's AoE, which you see is absolutely huge. It is just the most massive thing. This character 100% relies on this giant AoE to do all of its damage, and it relies on overkill damage from ice walls, and it's just an absolute blast to play. Now, I know I've been yapping, explaining, showcasing what the character does, but let's look at it in real time. This character relies on something very important. It relies on the cultist hammer to have strikes deal splash damage, in a very, very large radius. And it requires and relies on hulking form to give you 50% increased effect of small passive nodes. This 50% increased effect of small passive nodes is what's giving you this huge area of effect. And you have tons and tons and tons of these little nodes. Now, if I were to jump very quickly into a map, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how it works and what's going on, to explain it before we get into the gear and everything, let's just take a look at it in real time. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shut off Herald of Ice, and I'm going to keep on cast on dodge, but I'm not going to use Temporalis to move and navigate. The idea is if you don't have Temporalis, the character still works. You are still able to walk up to all of the monsters and hit them with your basic attack and have all of the monsters fully explode. The thing that really takes this character over the top in terms of how it works is the overkill damage from the trample toe boots, and we'll go into a little bit more detail about that. Now, if you come across a tankier rare and you don't have Temporalis, all you do is make an ice wall, and you can self-cast the ice wall no problem, and the ice wall will take care of that. If you don't like using ice wall and you don't want to use ice wall, there is shield wall, and you can actually put down shield walls and hit the shield wall, and the shield wall will also explode and be able to do the same thing. But you come up to a rare, you realize that you don't one tap it, you don't two tap it, you don't three tap it, you build an ice wall, hit the ice wall, it explodes. I know that guy didn't have a whole lot of health, but we can find another rare in a second and just take a look at what it would look like if we have just full health on a rare. Well, I guess that guy just took damage from everywhere. So we build an ice wall, we hit him, and he just completely dies. We go up to regular mobs and we hit them and they die. Now, when I put on Herald of Ice and I do it with Herald of Ice, I make my little ice wall, that guy explodes. I make my little, my little explosions, and it starts to look really good. The big thing that Temporalis is doing for us inside of this map is allowing us to teleport around the map to get faster clear times. Temporalis, like I said, is not helping with the AoE explosions. It's not creating those massive, huge ices. All it's doing is helping us really move around the map. And if I just take off Temporalis and I build an ice wall, you can see I could just move all around the map. You can play this 100% as a 2-button build. You can, cast an ice wall, release your essences, hit your ice wall, everything completely dies, and you're just completely and utterly off to the races with this character, and there are no problems whatsoever. Now I'm going to activate Ice Wall. I'm going to finish out this map. We're going to talk about the gear and the passives and how it all works, and I'm going to give you guys a full rundown of where this build even came from. So if you guys are looking for other inspiration or other ideas, you can see how it goes. Now, map bosses are super easy. Build an ice wall, hit the ice wall, boss explodes. Very straightforward. You don't even need Temporalis to make this happen. You'll probably actually be better off just buying like a Moira or something, especially if you want to do this on a more of a budget setup. Now the Black Crow, you see he's going to do his little thing. We're going to cast one ice wall. We're going to hit the ice wall. He's going to die. Now we have to wait for him to fully RP because this boss has like 4,000 levels of RP, but his entire health bar is gone, and he's going to grab his little bell. He's going to realize that, there's, we're just going to give him the little good wacka, the little whack and, the wacka ding ding dongs. You know what I'm saying, bro? But you can see just hitting on this guy, just how big our standard AoE is. You can see that it is covering the entire screen. Completely and utterly crazy. Now let's go build an ice wall, give him a little kissy poo. He goes explodey wody, and then we're back to just check out the rest of the map and see if there's anything else cool that we did manage to miss. Now that's pretty much the Titan in a nutshell, how it works, what it's doing, what to expect from it inside of a map. And just like I said earlier, playing this character is an absolute fantastic experience. It, honest to God, without a doubt, feels like the best character I've ever played. Like, hands down, it is the cleanest looking character. The explosions are wonderful. It feels really, really, really smooth to play. Even without the Temporalis, you use a little bit of dodge roll, you use a little shield charge to move around, you use basic blink, you use a weapon swap for a blink. It just feels really, really good to play. And I know a lot of people have played Titan. I know a lot of people have had issues with Titan. And, unfortunately, I did not have those same issues because I played Titan a little bit later down the line. But playing it with a little bit of gear, a little bit later down the line, it's very fun to play, just like crossbows. Everybody told me crossbows were going to be bad. But if you play crossbows down the line later on, they feel absolutely great. We did miss a rare up there. We're going to go kill this last rare. And let's talk about the character and what is going on. Oh, there we go. Nice, dude. Nice. You saw right there, that was really cool. The AoE is so big that it hit the ice wall behind us that exploded to hit the enemy. So that was really cool. Now, before we go into the gear and before we go into everything, I have to give credit where credit's due. This build, surprise, is not my own creation. Essentially what was happening is I was talking to Twitch chat about the, crossbow character and talking about wanting to play Titan, and Twitch chat was just like, hey, there's this really cool Titan build that doesn't have a lot of views. It's not, you should check it out. And there was this video by this gentleman here, and Twitch chat linked it to me, and we played it. And he did the exact same thing that I was doing with the Titan. And as soon as I saw this opening clip, I was like, what the heck is this guy doing? I then jump around through his VOD. I start watching him kind of like do the exact same thing my Titan's doing now. And I was completely and utterly hooked. I started doing some research on what he was playing and his character. I went through his channel. I looked at his other videos, and then I read and saw that he got this from a Korean YouTuber named Gbaters. So we were off to the races to find out who Gbaters was. And we ended up finding his channel, and we went through and we looked at his channel, and I'll include all of this down below. And we watched his video on the Titan. Very hard to watch because we don't speak Korean, but it essentially gave us all of the information that we needed, and it led us down, down to where we needed to start. It gave us a path of building, where to begin with ideas. It gave us a max roll that we were able to get translated, and we were able to just start being able to put it together and really play it. This gentleman did an absolutely fantastic job. I'm grateful that I had to go through like Twitch chat to this to figure it out. It's awesome, and I just want to make sure that you guys know where this build came from, how we got here, how we settled here, and what's going on. On top of that too, there is a gentleman in the Discord who's also been playing it named Arazi, and I'm going to include his stuff for you guys as well, so you can take a look at that. And he was playing it too with me, and he had huge similar success, and he put some really good notes together for people that want to see it, and there'll be a link for it in the Mac or in the Mobalytics down below. You'll be able to go into Mobalytics, you'll see a link to this, and it'll give you everything that you guys need to be able to check it out and see what's going on. And his notes section is really in depth. Now, the character in itself does a couple of things. One, it relies on Mace Strike. You can use any skill. Mace Strike is just kind of like funny to be using an auto attack. And I fully believe that auto attacks are meant to be used in some sort of fashion because we can give them links. It only makes sense that auto attacks in some sort of fashion have thought about being used in some builds or some combinations of builds simply because we could put gems on them. Our auto attack triggers all of our explosions. Like I had mentioned, the explosions come from the cultist great hammer, which is absolutely mandatory to give us that beautiful round huge explosions at 1.8 meters, and that's what we're doing. Our mace strike is supported with martial tempo cold infusion. That gives us that extra cold damage to chill everything. We have heft for more physical damage, magnified effect to increase our AoE, and primal armaments for a little bit of extra cold damage. We don't need to freeze the mobs, we just need to chill the mobs. Chilled mobs explode as though frozen, thanks to the Pulsar Klein ring that we're using to get those beautiful explosions. So we're abusing a couple of mechanics. We have Infernal Cry for when we do bosses or extremely tanky rares. We're able to Infernal Cry and get an extra little bit of damage and buff our ice walls and explode everything for huge damage. We have Premeditation to give us 15% more damage. We get a bunch of rage from here if we use it. We have Enraged Roar Cries to give us more damage, and we have Culling Strike with Murderous Intent. Our cast on dodge is only because we have Temporalis. If you do not have Temporalis, you're going to have to manually cast the ice wall. Our cast on dodge has a level 9 ice wall or frost wall. We want a low level frost wall so that it has a low amount of life, so that we hit it. When we hit it, it explodes for tons and tons and tons of over damage. We combine it with Spell Cascade, Icicle, and these would be the 3 links that you would use without cast on dodge. We have Fortress, so 4 links, so that we have that nice little like round circle effect of the ice wall. And then we have Font of Rage to give us rage. Since we're teleporting around a lot, we always have ice walls up come kind of following us around, so we have a ton of rage. If you don't have Temporalis, you'd have to put the ice walls down to generate rage, and they would generate rage pretty quickly. Now we have Herald of Ice with Elemental Focus, Cold Penetration, Cold Mastery, Long Shot, and Culling Strike again. Or this one has Culling Strike and this one's Murderous Intent, so we can get those beautiful explosions. We have Berserk that is always on and gives us, we lose a little bit of life, but we gain life leech back, and we gain extra rage effect. And we have Cannibalism to give us more life recovery. Berserk is like really interesting because since we always have rage from the ice walls, it works really, really nicely. We have blink with unbreakable to give us more stun threshold, energy barrier to give us, you know, more energy shield recharge rate, ingenuity to reduce the cooldown of blink, and arcane tempo to help us cast it faster. And then we finish everything up with grim feast. Now, like I said, you can indeed use shield wall in this, and you can cast a bunch of shield walls and hit the shield walls, and they make an awesome, wonderful explosion. And you can do a very similar setup to that of ice wall to get this beautiful, beautiful explosions. I haven't really messed around a whole lot with shield wall. Twitch chat just told me about it late last night, and I just haven't had the opportunity to really test it out and see the best way to do it. But it is an option that you guys can go out and experiment with. Now, our gear is doing a couple of very important things. One, we had mentioned the cultist grade hammer. This is what we're using to get that beautiful splash radius. If your gear is a little bit lacking and you don't have an absolute ton of strength, you're going to need a cultist grade hammer with a reduced attributes requirement. Ideally 35% if you can afford it, but if you get gear with more strength, or you get more strength on the tree, or you can compensate for missing attributes, you can get a cultist hammer with less reduced attributes requirements. You see I have 20% reduced attribute requirements. I need 169 strength. This 169 strength is tripled or doubled or triple requirements because of Giant's Blood, so it becomes a little bit of a pain to get all the requirements needed, you know, with everything going on. Ideally, you just get a cultist grade hammer, you get it some plus the skills if possible, you get a whole lot of physical damage, and you just start bashing monsters. Our gloves are just melee skills, attack speed, and filling in resistances as we need them. You can see that my gloves are filling out my fire resistance. Originally, the original creator of the build added strength to his gloves. I would like to cap my resistances, so I went with capped resistances. My Cataclysm Nail Breach Ring, same thing. Strength, all elemental resistance, chaos resistance. This one ring by itself is pretty much capping majority of my chaos resistance, thanks to ingenuity. I found this ring. This ring was like 6 or 7 divs. You know, I picked it up. I got really lucky when I found it, and it was great. The helmet, the Aziri's Disdain, not my favorite helmet, but I understand why it's used and why it's needed. The extra 30% life as maximum energy shield is giving us 17 or 1100 energy shield, which at the end of the day is a substantial amount of extra life. We do need this helmet corrupted. You do need a total of 255 spirit to fit in everything. So you are going to need a helmet with a spirit corruption and an amulet with a set amount of spirit. You get, without the helmet and without the amulet on, you have 159 spirit, or you have 106. Oh, I have grand spectrums on. You get 100 spirit from the campaign, and then you have grand spectrums, and then you have Aziri's Disdain that's giving you spirit, and then you have the shield that's giving you spirit, and the amulet that's giving you spirit, but you need to get enough of these items together to get to 255 spirit. I forgot I had grand spectrums, but we'll get there. The shield is perfect rolled 60% block chance and an insanely high chaos resistance roll, and corrupted with block chance. The reason that we're doing this is we're giving our character 75% chance to block. And the big reason that we're doing this is on the tree, there are 2 nodes, one being lay siege and one up here being offensive stance. And these nodes give us increased damage per percent chance to block. So if we wear a shield alongside our weapon and we have 75% chance to block, not only do we have a defensive layer of block, but we get 150% extra damage. So you do need to get this shield corrupted. You do need a nice percent of chance to block, or you could just go with a little bit less block chance and lose a little bit of damage, reduce your defensive layer. It's kind of really up to you to mess around and see what you want to do. Our amulet, like I had mentioned earlier, plus the level of melee skills. We have attributes, all attributes, you know, strength would have been nice, int would have been nice. I preferred all attributes, but you're using the suffixes of your necklace to fill in the missing holes. My original necklace had dex and int on it, and that was a really, really nice necklace. You could see it right here. This was my original necklace. I used 18 dex, 28 int. This popped up eventually with all attributes. I picked that up right away, and it was just an absolute wonderful buy. It allowed me to move some points off of dex and int into strength to give me more of everything. We're using the Pulsacline ring. This ring chills enemies by your hits can be shattered as though frozen. This in combination with our mace attack with cold infusion and primal armaments is all the cold that we need, simply due to the fact that we just need to hit them with cold to chill them. We don't care about the magnified of chilled. We just need them to be chilled so they shatter and explode for Herald of Ice. Because you know your chilled enemies count as being frozen, and then Herald of Ice has to explode frozen enemies, and it kind of works in combination with each other. We're using Temporalis, like I had mentioned, just to blink around, just to give us that movement speed ability. You will need a Temporalis, that has a high cooldown reduction to match your blink, whatever your blink is, with ingenuity on. You click on your blink, your little arrow here, you go to this little window right here. It tells you what the cooldown is of your blink with, and you know, you just do it like this. It tells you what the cooldown of your blink is. Mine is 2.53. So I need to get one that's over 2.53. But if you look at your Frostwall has a cooldown of 3 seconds. So you need an ingenuity or a temporalis that's over 3 seconds. Our belt ingenuity, I had one that was corrupted with int. If you don't have one that's corrupted with int, you'll need to make up the int on your passive tree or on somewhere on your gear. Now, the last piece of gear that we have to talk about is the trample toe boots. These boots are the main source of all of our damage due to the overkill damage that we get from all of the explosions from our auto attack, from our mace, from our Herald of Ice, and from our Frostwall. According to what Gbaters said, we need at least 34% overkill damage, so I just got 34%. I don't know why the breakpoint is 34% or where the damage number comes from, but supposedly it is 34% damage overkill, and these are what I had to buy. At 34% overkill, I don't believe these boots are very expensive at the time of recording. I could be completely wrong. Currently, they're 2-3 divs just for that stat. You don't care about anything else except it having a socket, because all we care about the boots doing is having the 34% overkill damage. That's what's giving us the ability to do that. You know, you make your little wall, you hit it, it explodes. The overkill damage from your base hit on the wall's life explodes, and that gives you all of that. I did end up buying this flask. I thought this flask was going to be nice to play around with. It really didn't do anything. You just need a really nice health flask, a really nice mana flask, and you're pretty much off the races. As far as everything else goes with our character, we are playing Titan. We're playing Titan for one very important reason: hulking form to give us small effects of our passive skills. You could probably play this as other ascendancies, but this is really nice. On top of that too, we get colossal capacity, which is giving us this extra slot over here, which is really, really, really nice. And GGG should give that to every single character ever. That would be great. We also get 4% increased strength twice over here. We get some stun buildup. All of your hits are crushing blows, which build up the stun. Stun is really, really nice. We get some life regeneration, and we get 15% more maximum life. The rest of the tree is pretty straightforward. We get a bunch of melee damage here. We get some stun and melee damage here and some strength. We get a bunch of area of effect nodes over here. Take a little bit of dex. Up here, we get blood rush for skill speed. This is really, really, really nice. Coming down this way, we get more area of effect nodes, more, you know, area of effect, so forth and so on. I know Gbaters and some other people pathed up here, but because I was lower level and only level 90 and not level 97, I actually pathed down here to get more area of effect. I come down this way over here and I grab more area of effect nodes up here. I come over here. I don't have a ton of accuracy on my gear yet, so we're using Resolute Technique. As I upgrade my gear a little bit more, get a little bit more accuracy, get a little bit more dex, I will not need Resolute Technique, but I really don't want to worry about accuracy, so Resolute Technique is really, really, really nice. Coming over here, we have more area of effect, more attack damage, more stun buildup. Up over here, more physical damage and attack speed. More area of effect up here. And then this wheel up here is really interesting. This wheel up here is giving us block chance to go alongside of our shield. We're getting a bunch of armor and energy shield over here, which is really nice, and more block chance. We're getting ancient Aegis up here. This is giving us just more survivability and more energy shield. And then we have offensive stance up here that we're getting, and I'll show you from a megalomaniac. This wheel up here is really, really, really nice. You get 4 nodes, which pairs very well with against a darkness jewel for extra strength and cold damage. This is more cold damage that we have added to everything. So this wheel up here, very, very, very nice. Moving down this way, thanks to my buddy Arazi, I found out that I can, instead of pathing down this way for 1 extra point, I can come this way for more stun threshold. These nodes make simulacrums pretty easy and help a lot, and I was really grateful to hear about this change. Very, very, very helpful. We come over here, we get a jewel socket. We come over here, we get a jewel socket. We're taking Giant's Blood here. This is what allows us to have this 2-handed mace and the Oak's Horn shield on, but it does triple the requirements of our weapon, which makes things relatively annoying. Or it, you know, triples the requirements of our one-handed weapon. Coming down over this way, you see that we take more area effect nodes here, more attack damage and stuff like that here, more area of effect. Coming up this way, we grab a jewel socket, and then over here, we get some more stun threshold nodes. These also give us a bunch of strength. I was playing around in POB. I don't think we need all of these to be stun cap threshold, but this is just kind of where I'm at for right now. And then this gives us stun threshold per strength, which is insane because we have 433 strength. Now over here, we take this whole diamond. This whole diamond is insane. It gives us a bunch of extra attributes, which is really, really, really nice. On top of that too, equipment and skills have 7% reduced attribute requirements, or 6% reduced attribute requirements. This goes really well with Giant's Blood. That makes things a lot easier. If you don't have these nodes in, you're going to need an absurd amount of stats for all of your stuff. So these nodes are very, very, very important. The two nodes here, this one gives you 10% increased attributes, and this one gives you 2% increased damage per 5 of your lowest attribute. So if you start getting better gear and you raise up your lower attributes, you'll start to get a lot more, a lot more damage. Now you're going to notice very quickly there is a large ring around this right here. This ring is for a time lost ruby. The radius needs to be large, and the only thing we care about on this is 25% increased effect of small passive nodes. If I take this off, you'll notice my strength goes down a little bit, and these nodes go to 4 to all attributes. If I go and put this back in, they jump up to 5. Same thing with these nodes here. These are 6% reduced attribute requirements, and putting this in makes it 7. So very important. Over here, we have a megalomaniac, and this megalomaniac is only doing one thing. Thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate it. This megalomaniac is doing one thing and one thing only. We are getting offensive stance from it. 1% increased damage per block chance. If you could find another megalomaniac that, say, had, I don't know, hefty unit or something else on it, it would be insane. But we're using this one specifically for offensive stance. The one I found had Storm Surge to give me a little bit of Cold Pen. I paid a little bit extra for this one. I didn't need this. I only needed offensive stance. So you're just looking for a megalomaniac to give you offensive stance. Our other jewels are pretty straightforward. I took this jewel. This jewel gave me 3x, or it gave me damage with maces, global fizz, and attack damage and rage on melee hit. Ideally, if you don't have Font of Rage and you're not doing a whole bunch of Frostwalls with Font of Rage, having this jewel give you rage on hit is a really lovely way to get quick rage. You probably don't need it if you have the whole Frostwall set up. I'm keeping it in because it's an absolutely fantastic jewel. Now, the last couple of jewels that are pretty important. You're going to get a From Nothing Diamond. This one, I can't actually price check it with a tool. This one was only 1 div. This one has Dance with Death. Dance with Death is actually all the way over here. So if I zoom out and I move my passive tree, it's all the way over here. We're taking this for 2 very important reasons. 1, we get a bunch of block chance here, and this is how we cap all of our block chance. And 2, we're getting a bunch of skill speed nodes and movement speed nodes here. Absolutely insane From Nothing Diamond. The last jewels in the list are Grand Spectrums. We do indeed have 3 Grand Spectrums. We have a Grand Spectrum for 2% max life over here with elemental resistances. That cost me about 2 divs because everybody thinks health is really bad. We have another one over here with lightning resistance and health. Once again, this cost me 2 divs because everybody thinks these are bad. And then I have a third one somewhere hidden in my tree, which should be right somewhere hidden right here. We have an emerald. This emerald is what helps put us over the edge for that spirit that I had mentioned earlier. We're at 241 spirit without the emerald in, and then when I put the emerald in, we go to 255. So if I take the emerald off, the shield off, the helmet off, and the amulet off, you'll notice right away we only have 100 spirit, and then we just get to that beautiful 255 number from having these kind of items combined together. But that's it. That's the whole character. That's what it's doing. That's how it's working. And it, like I had mentioned, it has been an absolute fantastic character to play. I love every minute of it. I'm very grateful for Gbaters putting the video together and getting it out to the world. It has been an absolute blast to play, and I love every minute of it. Now, if you try it and you like it, let me know. If you try it like my buddy Arazi did and you have other ideas to make it better, I'm all ears and would love to hear what you guys are thinking about or what's going on. That would be pretty cool. But for now, friends, I'm going to get this video out to you guys. And if you want, come by the Discord, stop by the live stream, let me know what you think, and we'll go from there. Future plans. We're going to play the PoE 1 event, and then we're going to play some more PoE 2. We'll figure out where we go from here, what's next, but I'm looking forward to more Path of Exile and more ARPG content. But thank you for watching. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all that fun jazz, and I'll see you all in the next one.